Minor pentatonic across a major blues is a wonderful thing. It just fits like a glove. You know, it's absolutely perfect. And that's why so many players just play minor blues across a major blues or a minor blues progression. The cool thing about minor blues is that it works across both types of progressions, both major and minor, which is a bit weird, right? It's a bit of a strange thing. Blues is a bit of a anomaly, really, as far as music theory is concerned. It doesn't really fit into music theory in some ways and can't be explained. In fact, it shouldn't really work, but it does. So what a lot of players do is they just stick in minor pentatonic, right? They just play minor pentatonic over major and minor blues. But with the major blues, there's another option, and that is to play major stuff over the top of it rather than minor pentatonic. Now, in the thing that I was playing at the start, I was playing up here in position 4 of minor pentatonic, okay? A minor pentatonic, position 4. Now, typically, a lot of people would start down here in position 1. Good old position 1, good old position 1. What a wonderful position it is. What would we do without it, eh? Now, what people then read is that they can play major pentatonic over the top of a major blues, all right? So what they then read is that all you have to do is shift everything down 3 frets. So they go, ah. And they quickly realise that F sharp minor, okay, is the same as A major. All right, so let's just go over that again, because there is a relative minor to every major, relative major to every minor. And indeed, you can find it that way just by going down 3 frets. And something I teach my students, I call it the index finger, little finger rule. If you're putting your index finger on the start of a minor pentatonic and your little finger on the end of it, like that, on the E string, this represents the minor tonality. This little finger represents the major tonality. In other words, F sharp minor is the same as A major. So if we did it in a different key, we'd find that A minor is the same as C major, okay? Or C major is the same as E flat minor. Or you could just go down 3 frets to find it. But there's a problem, okay? So to find out this problem, first what we're going to do is I'm going to play another major blues backing track, play over the top of that in A minor, and then I'm going to shift it down 3 frets and kind of play the same stuff. And you tell me how you think it sounds. And this is what a lot of people do, and they don't like the sound of it, and they think, that's rubbish, and they just go back to A minor pentatonic. So let's try it. Okay, 3 frets down. So that's it, I've had enough, yeah. That sounds pretty bad. It sounds really bad, and this is what people find out. They go down to this A major pentatonic over the A major blues. Everybody tells them it sounds good, but it sounds rubbish, okay? And there's a good reason it sounds rubbish. So let's look into why it sounds rubbish and how we're going to sort that out. Right, so all I did was I slid down 3 frets and I played A major pentatonic. So let's look at the difference between A minor pentatonic and A major pentatonic. So A minor pentatonic, we've got the 1, okay? The flat 3, the 4, the 5, and the flat 7. That is A minor pentatonic. In A major pentatonic, we've got the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 6. Herein lies the problem, right? Let's think about that major pentatonic for a minute. Let's think about those intervals. So the 1's going to always sound great, okay? Because the 1 is obviously the root. The 2, that's going to kind of sound okay, but it's neither here nor there. It's not a chord tone. It will sound nice as a passing note or to connect your 1 and the 3, but it's not going to sound particularly horrendous. The the 3, the major third's going to sound really nice because it's in the chord. We're missing the 4, we've got the 5, that's going to sound nice, okay, because it's in the chord, and we've got the 6. That's going to sound quite cool, but again, it's not a particularly strong note. But one of those notes is in the minor pentatonic that's really super strong, and we're missing it completely, right? And it's in the chord, it's in the A7 chord, and that note is the flat 7. So half the problem, maybe not half the problem, quarter of the problem, I don't know, some percentage or fraction of the problem with this major pentatonic over this A7 chord is that the flat 7 is not there. The other problem is that the A major pentatonic, I was playing it across the whole of that progression. Now, when I'm playing over the A, it kind of should sound all right. I was playing it in a way that didn't sound all right. We'll cover that in a minute. But it's not going to work very well across the D and the E. The A minor pentatonic will work across the whole progression. This is why lots of people play it, okay? Because it will work across the whole thing. You don't have to think too much. If you're doing major over a major progression, you're going to have to think a bit more because you need to change with the chords in terms of major. You don't need to do that with minor over a major progression, okay? We'll perhaps go over that in another video as to why that is theoretically wise. So what can we do about this? Well, for starters, we can think about altering our major pentatonic a little bit to fit better with the chords. Now, there's a couple of options here. One, we could get rid of the 6 and put the flat 7 in. That would make it sound more harmonious straight away. Now, we could think of this as what's called a dominant pentatonic scale. So a dominant pentatonic scale is a really useful scale. It does sound really cool. It's basically, if you take the chord itself, we've got a 1, we've got a 3, a 5, and a flat 7. Well, if you add the 2 into that, okay, you get the dominant pentatonic scale. Now, this sounds really cool over the blues because it fits that chord, again, like a glove. Yeah, it fits the chord a lot better than the major pentatonic scale because the notes, 4 of the notes are in the chord. Then you've got the 2, and you tend to use the 2 to pass between the 1 and the 3 anyway. So it's a really cool scale. So we've got, for example, we could play it like this. We've got the 1, the 2, okay, the 3 there, and then you've got the 5, and then the flat 7, or you could go. Okay, so if I play the start of that again and just play some of those notes over the top of it, you'll hear that fits really well. Okay, now you can see those notes really fitted the chord really well. So I was just altering that major pentatonic. I was getting rid of the 6 really and changing it for a flat 7. So that is one approach, all right? So that is a really good approach. The other one is to not think scales at all and just think intervallically, all right? Which is, I've done this a lot in my other videos. So instead of thinking about learning, this is the problem with all this stuff. You can play tons of different scales over this blues. Do you really want to go and learn hundreds, maybe not hundreds, but I don't know, 5 or 6 different scales that you can play over the blues? Or do you want to think about the notes that are involved and just pick them out as you need them, which I think is a lot more efficient. So I'm just playing around with all these intervals because I know them all over the fretboard reasonably well. Yeah? But this takes a bit of brain work. Now, when it comes to the D chord, this all changes, okay? Because these notes that we're playing here now are designed to fit over the A chord. They're not designed to fit over the D chord. So over the D chord, I've now got to think of the dominant pentatonic line, or if you want, the 1, 2, 3, 5, flat 7 of the D chord. So here's my 1, here's my 2, 3, 5, flat 7. All right, and then over the E chord, 1, 2, 3, 5, flat 7. So let me play those lines really simply. I'm not going to try and make it sound interesting, really. I'm just going to play it so you can hear the notes over the whole thing. All right, so I'm going to go with the A first of all. Here's the D. Back to the A. Here's the D, the E, D, A. Okay. So what you can see is that I'm following the chords there. I'm playing the notes of the chords and I'm adding that 2 in to make my lines sound like they're coming out of the chords. What I did when I played that A major pentatonic over the whole thing, it did sound really bad. And there's another reason it sounded really bad. The other reason it sounded really bad is I was playing it like I was playing my minor pentatonic here. So this lick, which is very much an A minor pentatonic lick, if I play it here, it's now not an A major pentatonic lick. It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like an F sharp minor pentatonic lick. Why? Because I'm coming back to this note. I'm focusing around this note. This is an F sharp note, right? I'm not focusing it around my A note. There's my A note now. So that line's going to sound much better. So even if I'm going to, I'm not saying A major pentatonic doesn't work over the A7 chord. Of course it will work, yeah? But you've got to think about it in a different way. You can't play your minor you can't play those sorts of lines down here because they're designed to work around this A note and this flat third and that sort of thing, yeah? You've got to think major lines. So if I was to play A major pentatonic, again, I might go... You know, that sounds more major because I'm basing it around this note. It keeps wanting to come back to home. So quite a few things for you to think about there. Now, you can decide, you might listen to all this and think, God, this sounds right pain in the neck. I can't be bothered to learn all this interval stuff he's going on about. Well, that's fine, okay, if you want to do that and you can stay just doing your minor pentatonic stuff. It still sounds really good, you know, and a lot of guys do that and it sounds fantastic. But if you want to break out of that and sound a bit more interesting, try thinking intervallically, right? And try thinking also when you're doing your major blues, thinking beyond the major pentatonic, right? Because the major pentatonic it's okay, but it's limiting because you've got that 6 and you haven't got the flat 7 in there. Adding the flat 7 in there ties you more closely into the chord. You could extend this a bit more, and we can talk about this in another video, into doing Mixolydian scales. Because Mixolydian scales, or Mixolydian modes, or whatever you want to call it, they're very closely related to dominant 7th chords. If you think about it, they're a bit of a mixture, and this is, you know, we could do this forever. It's a bit of a mixture of a dominant pentatonic and a major pentatonic, because it's got a 6 and a flat 7 in there. So you can think about these things in lots of different ways. I'm not sure it's always helpful. I think the most helpful thing is just to think of the intervals, right? And in a Mixolydian scale, we've got the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, and the flat 7. So all those notes are in there that work over a dominant 7th chord. But some are stronger than other ones. Now, the 6, don't get me wrong, the 6 is really cool, yeah, if used in the right way. But it's easier to sound good, if you like, doing dominant pentatonic scales, or the notes in the dominant pentatonic scale, if you're thinking about intervallically, than playing major pentatonic scales because of that 6 flat 7 thing that we were talking about. Enjoy, and please remember to subscribe.